welcome to Good Game Pocket Edition, our weekly roundup of all things gaming. I'm Barjo.
And I'm Hex. This week we'll be raiding some tombs, in fact returning to the very roots of Lara Croft's tomb raiding in a long-awaited reboot of Tomb Raider. This could be a way through.
Yes, Lara is back in a big way, but first let's have a look at some handy mobile games we've been playing this week. Real Racing 3 is an Aussie-developed racer for iOS published by Electronic Arts. Being the third game in the series, there's a lot of knowledge behind this game of what worked for a racing simulation on a mobile device. It has sophisticated graphics, a solid physics engine, and stacks of variety in cars, tracks, and modes.
You steer your car by actually steering your device from left to right, and I was surprised with how well this works. The cars have a nice weight to them, and the handling felt really good.
Yeah, although I found you really need to dial back the assisted braking and acceleration to find the right sort of balance for your skill level. Your car also picks up so much damage, and to repair it you either have to wait for hours on end before you can play again, or pay for special tokens to fix your car instantly. I thought the freemium model was a bit too aggressive here, so I gave it 4 out of 10 rubber chickens.
Yeah, I mean, I played this in such short bursts that wasn't really an issue for me. I mean, all the repairs were always done when I would come back to it, so I wasn't frustrated. I liked this a lot, Barjo. I gave it 8.
Alright, well, let's leave the tarmac for some temples. Temple Run 2 is a sequel to one of the most successful iOS titles ever, putting you in the scuffed-up boots of a coin-plundering Indiana Jones type. It's an endless run where you swipe or tilt the device to avoid spikes, flames, gaps, and other hazards, in an effort to rack up the highest score possible before starting all over again.
This game also uses a freemium model. You can spend real money to purchase upgrades and instant retries, but, you know, I didn't really feel like I was missing out on anything by not buying them.
Yeah, I thought this was a bit more fair than with Real Racing. You're free to keep playing this as much as you want without any real penalty. I had so much fun with this, Hex, and it has minecarts.
The whole Good Game office has been competing for the highest scores in this, which has been really fun. I gave it 9.
I gave it 9 too.
Now, onto a game that is destined to earn some ire from the RSPCA, Hacky Cat. The idea is to kick the cute kitties into the air to prevent them from hitting the ground and dying. But the higher you kick them, the faster they fall, quickly ramping up the difficulty as you tap fanatically all over the screen.
As cat owners, Hex and I were a little bit miffed at first with this game. But I have to say, I do really like the artwork, and I love the little meows the cat makes, even though you're sticking the boot in.
The game mixes up the challenge well by throwing in some power-ups, which introduces a bit more strategy into how you juggle dozens of cats for those cat combos. I don't know that it's necessarily the kind of game you'd come back to time and time again though, so I gave it 7.
Yeah, I thought the controls were tight, and I liked there's crazy cats to unlock, so I gave it 7.5. Now over on Spawn Point on ABC3 we had a look at the latest Naruto game.
Naruto Shippuden Ultimate Ninja Storm 3 is a fighting RPG hybrid, like the last game in the series, with a gorgeous animated visual style, a huge roster of characters, and a deep story destined to satisfy Naruto fans who have followed the teen ninja every step of the way, from anime to game and back again.
This game surprised me, Hex. It's actually got quite a lot going for it, and I found myself getting swept up in the story. It's set against the very epic 4th Great Ninja Wars, and stakes are very high. There's some lovely dialogue and very likeable characters, but of course the crux of the game is the fighting, which is fairly typical combo-based biffery.
There are some very spectacular moves and some huge boss fights. I just found that the controls were never that intuitive, and you really had to seek out the tutorials, which was just a series of annoying text boxes.
They have introduced a new awakening mode that bargains with your chakra, but best of all are the ultimate decisions, where you have to pick one of 2 paths, one more difficult than the other, and these always play to great dramatic effect.
To me, revenge is everything. You're naive, Naruto.
It's a solid game that won't disappoint Naruto fans. I gave it 7.
I gave it 7.5, and you do have to be a fan, because most of it is just watching the cutscenes. We should go answer some questions at the Ask Good Game desk, Hex.
Alright.
Good game.
Alright, so let's take this week's question, which is from Frank in Grovedale, Victoria.
Hi, Frank.
Are critics being too harsh on the Nintendo Wii U so early into its life?
Well, Frank, I'd have to give a definite yes and no to that one. Pretty much every console has a shaky start, with a gap between its first wave of average games to when it actually builds up a decent library with some killer software to choose from. So the Wii U is kind of in that horrible post-launch limbo at the moment, so I'd agree it's a bit harsh to judge on where it's at right now.
Yeah, and Nintendo was pretty much in this exact same position last year, with everyone saying the 3DS was a flop since it wasn't selling and didn't have any good games. But now it has a solid bunch of games available, as well as some key intriguing hits lined up for the future, so it's always foolish to count Nintendo out.
Absolutely. I do worry a little bit though. If you look at how many of the cross-platform releases, the major ones are actually leaving the Wii U in the cold. BioShock Infinite, Tomb Raider, Crysis 3, GTA 5, Metro Last Light, Dark Souls 2, Destiny, none of those games are confirmed for the Wii U.
And I'm amazed it's not even getting EA Sports games like Tiger Woods, and it even lost one of its big exclusives since Rayman Legends decided to go cross-platform. And with sales lower than expected, it's not painting a very attractive picture for third-party publishers.
My main concern is really just about the power of the device and whether that will last the distance for the games that should be coming to us in the next 5 years. Because the PS4, and I assume the 720, whatever Xbox call their thing, will be ready for that, but I don't think the Wii U will be based on what we've seen so far. But it is still early days.
It is early days, and it just comes down to the games, really.
Yeah.
Especially with Nintendo. I mean, things might look up once they get shiny new HD Mario and Zelda and a few other great games, and let's not forget how they dominated this generation with that tiny little standard def console. I mean, graphics aren't everything.
There's definitely going to be an interesting couple of years ahead for Nintendo.
Indeed.
Yes. Now, if you have a question, please send it through to us. Yeah, and we will endeavour to answer it for you.
Straight.
Thanks.
Good game.
Lara Croft, the woman, the legend, and sometimes controversial sex symbol, has been rebooted with Crystal Dynamics' fresh take on the franchise.
From start to finish, this game really is just an insane roller coaster of non-stop action.
While searching for information on an ancient Japanese deity, Lara and her crew are shipwrecked on a mysterious island. From here, she is thrown from one terrifying scenario into another as she's captured by the island's sinister inhabitants and separated from her friends.
A lot of this early gameplay is very reminiscent of Uncharted. In fact, there's a burning building section later on in the game which is almost identical to the one from Uncharted 3. Its use of quick-time actions, ledge hangs, the way Lara constantly thinks aloud. That's what I heard in Japanese before the plane crashed. It all feels very familiar. However, Tomb Raider has completely finessed and evolved the style of adventuring, making it feel quite new.
Everything about this island is dangerous, cold, and painful, and the few moments where Lara gets to take a breath don't last very long at all. And you genuinely fear for her, because this is not the Lara we know. This is the Lara before it all, before she was a Tomb Raider.
I hate tombs.
Early in the game, her situation seems hopeless, and that sense of despair is palpable.
There was this crazy man Roth and a dead body.
Oh, God.
Please come and get me.
She comes across as vulnerable and human, but not weak, which I think is bang on target.
And it's great that her evolution as a hero is dealt with in such a serious and gritty way too. It's such a modern and cinematic game. The lengths the developer goes to here to draw an emotional response out of you is just fantastic.
Yeah, it's smart and well thought out, isn't it? You do still, of course, go picking up a great arsenal of guns with an endless parade of upgrades and add-ons. Points were scarce, Barjo, and I could never decide where to put them because there were so many cool upgrades and skills to learn. And the best part is that half of these kick-ass mods can be made to your bow. In spite of all your guns, it's probably your greatest asset. At one point, she straps a lighter to it, creating flaming arrows. She's MacGyver.
The bow is amazing and it feels just right, and it's so nice to have a game where you don't have to use the guns if you don't want to. The bow is almost always a good option. And there are some brilliant stealth sections too, where pulling off crafty, silent shots will make Lara's exploration of the island's many caverns and temples all the more efficient. And of course, it wouldn't be a Tomb Raider game without tombs. And with the use of Lara's survival instincts, you can seek out hidden treasure, artifacts, and clues to help you uncover the mystery of the island. Tomb Raider has always been known for its brain-freezing, puzzle tombs, and I felt like this time they went a bit easy on us and some of that challenge was taken away. So that did make me a bit sad, but having said that, I did rage quit a particular Tomb Raider game because I couldn't find some bloody cog somewhere. I will never know where that cog is, Hex.
Yeah, I mean, here I felt like it was more about the puzzles being relatively straightforward to figure out, but a little bit more difficult to execute, as some required some precise timing.
The game yanks you through this chaos at such a breakneck pace.
Each and every one of those heart-pumping action sequences was just stunning, Barjo. You know, I was yelling at my TV, just willing Lara to cling to life, literally at every turn. And you're accountable because you're involved in just about every stage of the drama with some kind of quick-time action. But those action sequences don't feel like they've been shoved in there just to pad out the game either. There is this seemingly perfect balance between all the blockbuster action and the sections where you're just left to your own devices to climb through and explore the environment with all its hidden chambers.
And of course, it's also the game's multiplayer. We only had access to a few rounds, and some maps are better than others, but it does seem quite promising with a few unlocks and some nice level design ideas, such as this zipline level, which mixes up the gameplay as you attempt to avoid gunfire and zip about.
The bow and arrow is really fun in Versus too. I think I'll go back to it come launch.
Final thoughts, Hex?
Honestly, as soon as I saw those credits roll, I just wanted to go back and start this whole campaign again, which is such a great feeling. This is one of the most exciting gaming experiences I've ever had. I gave it 10 out of 10 rubber chickens.
Yeah, it's masterful work. It's a masterpiece, and you're there with Lara every step of the way. You never see a loading screen, you're just always right there. This is how you reboot a franchise, and I gave it 10 out of 10 as well.
Good game.
Well, that's all we've got time for this episode of Good Game Pocket Edition, but don't forget you can catch us at 8:30 p.m. on ABC2 for a regular episode of Good Game.
And in our next episode, we have a look at the return of Sly Cooper, and also Path of Exile.
Plus, Goose has a few reviews up his sleeve as well.
Well, until then, may all your unlockable outfits be fabulous. Barjo out.
Hex out. Define fabulous.
Doesn't need defining fabulous.
You mean like a puffy shirt or?
It's pretty fabulous. Would you say I'm fabulous?